Really excited about this game. Really grateful to be here. It's a great opportunity for us to play a very, very good Big 12 Kansas State football team. Couldn't be more impressed with Kansas State. I think they're an extremely well-coached football team. It's not like they have a bunch of superstars on offense, but a lot of really good players that play well together. Like I said, extremely well coached. I think what they do schematically is very challenging to defend. Really balanced, throwing the ball, running the football, well coached up front, physical football team. I was very familiar with when Coach Kleiman was at North Dakota State and I was at Kennesaw State 2 years in a row. They were up next for us in the playoffs had we won. So I followed them at North Dakota State, studied them on defense when they were there. Thought they did a really good job, but I think he's a great hire for Kansas State. I think they've done a tremendous job there in a short amount of time. So really, really excited about this opportunity in this game.
You know, a lot of, for myself, will be reiterating what Coach Newberry said. I mean, excited about this opportunity, excited about the young men at the Naval Academy to work hard and buy into what Coach Newberry and the rest of the staff has sort of implemented defensively, and what Coach Niumatalolo has done as a total team. So to have the success that we had this year and be blessed with this opportunity to play in such a prestigious bowl game against a tremendous opponent is really great. And having a familiarity with the young people at K-State and the tremendous coaching staff that has taken over, and seeing the passion that those guys play with has really been, for me, a unique deal. But excited about playing them, excited about a great opportunity, a great opponent, and excited for the Naval Academy.
All right, we'll take questions, and you'll identify yourself for the coaches. We'll start with questions.
Coach Norwood, a year ago, you're in Manhattan, you're kind of facing some uncertainty about your own future. Is this kind of a life lesson that things just work out the way they're supposed to work out?
Well, you know, I think I was blessed with a tremendous opportunity at K-State by Coach Snyder and working for the staff there, and a tremendous group of young men. I mean, so I look at that as really a blessed opportunity, and then from there having a blessed opportunity to come to the Naval Academy. I'm originally from Maryland. My mom, my brothers, you know, just from a family standpoint, I love blue crabs. So you know, there's a lot of things that has really been a blessing. But it's unique to be playing K-State and really sort of turning a whole circle and coming back and playing them. So knowing the guys, and then also, like Coach Newberry said, having a chance to watch the coaching staff that's really done a tremendous job coming in there, you know, getting the guys to buy into the new approach and seeing them play with a lot of energy has really been, for me, a different view, you know, because I know a lot of them, but it's been excited for this opportunity.
Coach Norwood, how much differently would you say the offense looks now under Coach Kleiman as opposed to when you were coaching there?
Well, you know, two different approaches. You know, I think, you know, what Coach Kleiman and Coach Messingham and what they've done is brought what they did in North Dakota State really, you know, are doing it at a high level. So it's really hard for me to compare, because I think, you know, Coach Snyder and what they've done in the history of the program there has been tremendous offensively, and they've had a lot of success when he was coaching there. So really two different deals, and I think it would to compare them will really be difficult, because it's two different things. So I think what Coach Kleiman is doing is really tremendous. And again, the guys have bought into it, and they have the talent and the skill set to do what he's asked them to do. So it's a challenging opponent.
Coach Newberry, you said you had studied this K-State offense and the North Dakota State offense a little bit. What are some of the stress points that they present to you as a team?
Yeah, well, what you don't see nowadays is a lot of two-back teams that line up and run the power and run it right at you. But they do a really good job of doing that, and then they'll get the ball in the perimeter. You mix in the ability of the quarterback to run the football with some of the things they do. He can certainly beat you with his feet and his arm. But like I said earlier, they're really balanced. And so they've got a really nice play-action pass game to complement what they do well in the run game. And I just, you know, really like what they do. You know, if I was a head coach and I was not running the option, I think I'd call Coach Messingham, because I really like what they do offensively. I like the mentality. They're going to run the football, and everything kind of stems off of that. But I think they just do a really tremendous job. They stress you in a lot of different ways, but really well coached. Kids play really hard. really well coached up front. And I think the quarterback is, in my opinion, a really, really good player that may not get enough credit, to be honest. So.
When you look, Coach Newberry, when you look at Skylar Thompson, number 10,
Mm.
what does he do particularly well that you guys need to be cognizant of in this game?
Yeah, well, I think he does everything well. Like I said earlier, he can beat you with his feet, which always presents some problems, especially when you're playing a team that already runs the football well, can line up in two backs and run it. I think he makes really good decisions. I think he's got a really nice arm. He can make all the throws that you want him to make and manages the game well. Put the ball in his hands on third down, whether it's throwing it or running it a lot. And I think he's been a really good player for them this year.
Rush defense, you go from 90th last year to 14th right now in the FBS.
Mm.
What have been the keys to success with the running defense this year?
Yeah, well, it starts up front with those interior guys. We've got some really good players. It always starts with those guys, and I think what we're doing schematically, the way we're structured, we're trying to get everything spilled to the perimeter, make everything bounce and go east and west, and try not to let things get north and south on us. We've also created a lot of negative plays in the early downs, which is a point of emphasis for us. We like to get people behind the sticks a little bit, and so when you create negative plays, that obviously helps in your rushing yardage. And our kids play really, really hard. When you watch them, you turn on the Army game. I think effort can cover up a lot of mistakes. It covers up missed tackles at times, and it covers up some of your physical inadequacies when you have them. So our kids play exceptionally hard. I think that's something that has not been mentioned enough about our players. And they play disciplined assignment football, and that's part of being a good rush defense team too, leveraging the football. When you miss a tackle, missing it on the correct side, turning it back to your help. So our kids have bought into those things, and so we have a very unselfish group of players that plays extremely hard. And when you do that and you're sound schematically, then you should be good against the run.
Excuse me, Coach Norwood, does playing the Army game kind of in the timeline that it comes in, does that hurt you guys in terms of bowl preparation at all, losing that week?
No, I mean that game is one by itself. I mean, when I say one by itself, it's a game that's really set apart for us. That game has so much meaning, and Coach Newberry's, first opportunity. I've been involved in a few of them, but I would imagine any of the games that we've been in and coached in, big football games, there's nothing that compares to the Army-Navy game. So that part of it, guys have really done a great job of bouncing back. We were able to, because we had the extra week of practice prior, really getting to West Point when everybody else was, finished with the season, coaches were out on the road recruiting and everything. We were getting ready for our game against Army. So we had to give the guys a break. Once we got finished, Coach Neil Machalolo did a great job of giving them time off to get rested and really get clear. So when we started back up on Kansas State, we did a little stuff before they left, but when we started back up on them, guys were excited and ready to go. So, we have an excited group that are eager and excited about playing this game.
Coach Newberry, there's various running backs that K-State utilizes. When you look at the running game with the running backs, what do you think about it?
The running back group is, to me, similar to the receiver group. There's a lot of really good players in the mix. I said it's not one player that you point out as necessarily a superstar, but they're all really, really good, solid football players that can do different things well. Certainly, we're cognizant of which ones of those guys are in the game at certain times, and we'll try to defend them as such.
Coach Norwood, when you look at film of Kansas State 2019, what do you see different or the same about Skylar Thompson from the season you spent with him?
Well, when I was there, Skylar was playing. We actually we had two quarterbacks that were, doing a good job. And me being on the defensive side of the ball, but seeing Skylar this year and seeing him, because I watch TV games and watch other games and stuff, I think he's just really bought into what they're doing And I believe Coach Kleiman recruited him coming out of high school. So I think he had a little feel that he fit into the system and what they were doing. So I think, being able to get reunited, I think you can see his confidence. I think he's throwing the ball well like Coach Newberry. He can run, I always knew athletically that he can run. He's a tremendous athlete. So I think he's just grown as well as everybody as they made adjustments with the new system. I mean, you can see them I say buying in and playing. And he's a talented player. That's something that I knew while I was there. And they have a lot of talented players on their team.
Coach Newberry, I was curious what your initial assessment was of two of K-State's players. One, James Gilbert, the starting running back, and then Joshua Youngblood, receiver. They move all around. What are the keys going to be to stop those two guys?
Our game plan doesn't really change based on who the running back is. When we kind of do what we do, we obviously got to be cognizant of him. I think the receiver's a really talented player. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Dalton is the one that gets a lot of the praise and the credit, and he's a very, very good player. But athletically, he scares you a lot. He's a good player. We need to know where he's at, as well as Dalton, all the time. And is he in the slot or is he out wide? Those kind of things. And if I can see that before the ball is snapped and make my certain calls based on that, then that helps us in certain situations.
When you have a triple option offense on the other side, does that change the way you call a game defensively compared to when you worked other places you haven't had that?
I don't think it changes the way that I call things. I think when you run the option, you may not play as many possessions on defense as you would at other places. So the things and we've always emphasized these things, but I think they become even more important here at the Academy if you can get we talk about get six, which you guys may or may not have heard of. It's a combination of takeaways, 3 and outs, and 4th down stops. I feel like if we can get a combination of any of those things, get 6 of those, and we got a really good chance to win. When you consider how many possessions we're likely to play in the course of a game. So for us, a 3 and out is almost like a takeaway. I've been on the other side of this playing option teams, defending option teams, and when an option team goes on a 12, 14 play drive, and then your offense goes out and goes 3 and out, and you've got to go right back on the field, that's demoralizing. Number one, you're tired. Number two, it doesn't give you time to get over the sidelines to make adjustments and those kind of things on what you needed to correct from the previous drive. And so I think when we can do that, it's huge. And we've done a pretty good job of that this year. So 3 and outs are probably more of an emphasis here, although you always want to get those on defense. But they've kind of taken on a life of its own here with the get 6 this year here at Navy. And so we understand how important it is to get off field on 3rd down. It's something that we've struggled with here the last few years. We've been a little better at that this year. And so we always talk about just getting the ball back to our offense. So obviously 3 and out, getting off field on 3rd down, takeaways, gets the ball back to our offense, who's, as you guys know, is rolling pretty good right now. And we get the ball back in Malcolm Perry's hands, and we talk about feeding the machine, get it back to our guys.
Coach Norwood, you grew up with coaching in Tulsa, and what's it like being reunited with him and being able to throw the game again?
It's really been great. And, Kenny and I, grew up, I go to Coach Niamatulolo. I go nicknames and stuff, but we met in the 10th grade. I moved from Maryland to Hawaii, and he and his cousin, Thor Salanoa, were the first guys that I really, really met locally, and just became best friends right from there. So we coached together at the Naval Academy in the mid-'90s. So I knew him as an assistant coach, as a friend, but this is the first time seeing him in the realm as an assistant coach. And I've worked for a lot of great head coaches, and he's one of the best that I've worked for. I mean, a real class person that understands young people and coaches with a passion, but also with an overbearing love. I mean, really, and us as a coaching staff, I mean, you ask anybody that works for him, he's a great person. He's competitive, and I don't know what. And I knew that from in the 9th grade, and so he's going to do that. But it's really been a blessing being able to work with him and knowing he and his family, and then the family that he's brought together as a coaching staff and an organization. It's really been a blessing.